Welcome, everybody. I'm Noreen Savage, and this is Starting Out Bright. I am so glad you're here. Before we get started, I want to just tell you very quickly a couple of things, who I am and who I am not, especially that part. I am nobody official with Brightline Eating, but the program has done a lot for me, and I got acquainted back, it's 3 years ago. Last week was the first time that I saw anything about Brightline Eating. My friend Lori had posted on her Facebook page that she had lost 57 pounds with a program, Brightline Eating. Anybody need any information, just get a hold of her. So my hot little fingers got over to Messenger as quickly as they could, and I proceeded to find out what this was about. And Lori told me there was a book written by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, Brightline Eating. And in the book, she describes 4 bright lines that you don't cross. No sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, weighed and measured portions. And when Lori told me that, my heart sunk, because I thought there is absolutely no way that I could do that. No way. But I really liked my friend. We got together for lunch and she proceeded to tell me more. And she said 2 things: get the book and get into a group. At that time, she suggested we eat right with lines. And there are many groups. There's a change with the official group going on, but there are many other groups, including Starting Out Bright, which is associated with this group, and the Brightest Eaters for the Church of Latter-day Saints, which Beth will talk about, and that's on the slideshow. So there are many groups, at least 50 private groups that I know of. So I got into the group, and what I saw was just amazing. I saw people supporting each other. I saw success stories, and I saw people talking about their struggles. And for the first time in a long time, this hope was rising in me. And I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try one more thing, one more time. And when I say trying one more thing, I had almost 30 years of trying. My weight was 270 pounds, and at 5'2", I was having a lot of pain, and I was borderline diabetic. So I needed to do something, and here it was. So I promised myself that if I lasted 1 year on this program, I would do what my friend Lori did. I would post on my Facebook page and help anybody I could. Well, I'm a Christian, and when the year was up, I felt God say, Noreen, you can do more than that. You can do more than post. And it was the time of Zooms with this pandemic. And so wouldn't it be great if these people who inspired me could help those who needed some hope, as I did? And that's how the Zooms were born. And one by one, people have, taken one for the team and stepped up to be on a Zoom chat to tell their story. And in fact, our guest tonight, Beth Monroe, which on Facebook you'll see Beth Wilson Monroe, but Beth was one of my initial people who I interviewed. It was back in December 2020. So that's really amazing. And we got back together. We had a chat this past week, and I am anxious to have her, talk about, on top of what she's gone through, what has happened in the last, almost 2 years now. No, year and a half. So Beth, welcome.
Thank you, Noreen. I'm so happy to be here with everybody.
I am so glad you're here too. And, for the benefit of those who may not have seen that earlier interview, I wonder if you can just kind of start about how you got into Brightline Eating, or before that, what even brought on what you would do, something so extreme as Brightline Eating. But go ahead and start anywhere you want, Beth.
Yeah. So I have struggled with my weight my entire life from about the 2nd grade on. I've been obese and struggled, and I've tried a lot of things in my life, like I'm sure many of you have. I got to a point finally in 2004, I had gastric bypass surgery, and I lost the weight. I got down to a healthy weight for the first time in my adult life. And I maintained that weight for about 7 years. But then I got married and I got pregnant and I had a C-section and found myself with about 70 extra pounds. I put on a lot of weight. And not only was I not losing that weight, I was having a hard time not gaining more. I think I was in postpartum depression a little bit for quite a few years, actually. And even though I wasn't losing the weight, I was trying, and I tried a lot of different programs, but nothing was working. And again, I've tried all the stuff. I mean, you tell me the things that you tried in the last 10 years, and I probably have tried it. And I was perusing Facebook one day, and I saw one of my friends had posted about this 30-day challenge. 30-day challenge. Who wants to do it with me? It's $30 or 14-day challenge. Excuse me, not 30-day, 14-day challenge. And I went and I looked at the link that she sent, and I thought, oh, what do I have to lose? I don't really know much about this, but $30, I can give this 14 days and I can try it out. And so I joined the 14-day challenge, and then I ended up joining boot camp, and I've lost 65 pounds. I'm about 5 pounds above where I was, 5 to 10 pounds, it goes back and forth, but I am in maintenance, and it is just amazing. I love this Brightline eating lifestyle. I love it. I love the support. I love the food. It's beautiful.
So Beth, from the very earliest days before when you did the surgery, including all of that, what is the total? Like that's over 100, right?
Yeah. So now I have lost over 100. It's 102 pounds now. It would be currently my current weight. The lowest I ever got down was 122 pounds, but then I kind of bopped back up, and that's pretty common with weight loss surgery. So you lose, and then usually you put on about 5 to 10 pounds.
And I only ask that because I can only imagine the feeling of almost panic in you. If you've gone through this surgery, and you must have felt like great for 7 years, that you had it all, like you had been able to accomplish your goal. But then, whether the postpartum depression or, life gets in the way. And so then you get almost in a panic, like it's a train. It's not going to stop of what's going to happen with this weight. I just can feel that because I've been on the roller coaster ride, and lost 50 pounds. And then it starts coming up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is maddening to face this again. I didn't, have gastric bypass, but, when you're really doing whatever, because that's a tool, gastric bypass.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, that, use it as a tool. But I would think that also gives you maybe some modifications to the program that somebody who has had that surgery, you can't just go in. Did you have to split it to like 5 meals, or what did you do? Just to have the amount of food?
At first, at first what I did is I was eating as the plan prescribes. I was doing but I would find, especially at lunch, and breakfast was usually okay. I'd be a little bit full at breakfast, but I could eat it all, and it was fine, a standard breakfast. But then lunch, I could only eat about half of my lunch a lot of times because I just wasn't hungry after breakfast. That was not the time of day that I, was used to eating a lot. And then by the time dinner came, I could hardly eat anything by dinner time. So what I would do is I would make my lunch, and I would eat as much as I could, without making myself sick or in pain.
Yeah.
And then I would just kind of set it aside. And about 3 hours later, I would try to eat the rest of it. Sometimes I would succeed, and sometimes I wouldn't, it just depended. I think almost right away, I went to a 10-10 veggie, like when I was doing the program as written at first. And so I would eat maybe about half of that for the vegetables at lunch, and some of my protein and some of my fat, I would eat it. And then by the time dinner came, I could not eat more than a couple of bites though at dinner. That was my hard time. And so for quite a long time, I went, I did finally modify it permanently to what I thought I could eat. And that was about 6 ounces of vegetables at lunch, no fruit at lunch, and one full protein and one full fat at lunch. So it was kind of modified there, less vegetables, no fruit. And then for dinner, I was only doing half of a protein, a fat, and 3 ounces of vegetables at one point. That's all I could do. And it was challenging at first. It definitely was. And I was a turtle loser. I wasn't losing very much for all of that, but
the other thing I'm wondering about this is, did you have food chatter? I mean, what I get at this about is, so the gastric bypass surgery, when you were able to lose the weight and even beyond, did you have food chatter? Was one thing, like the cravings, or do you know what I'm saying? As far as, because
not so bad, I really did try to change my lifestyle when I had the surgery, and I tried to eat the way that I had been recommended for a long time. I did, and that's not to say that I never had, not my food, things that I wasn't really supposed to eat, but it was very controlled. I was very careful about what I ate. Most of my diet was protein and vegetables at first. That was the majority of things that I ate. I didn't even eat a lot of fruit for quite a while. And then I gradually started to add some fruit back in, but it wasn't like I wasn't eating a ton of fruit, and I wasn't eating a lot of those, processed carbohydrates and things like that. I wasn't eating a lot of sweets. I did, by the time I got married, I had added some things back in that I probably shouldn't have, but the food chatter wasn't huge. It wasn't, it wasn't overpowering. It wasn't until after, when I got pregnant and started craving things that I really hadn't eaten in years on a regular basis.
Right.
And then, my emotional eating, habits ccame back, and, with the postpartum depression and being a stay-at-home mom, an older mom of a newborn, it was a hard time of life, trying to adapt to a whole new life. And I put on all that weight because of the things that I ate during pregnancy. It wasn't just pregnancy, right? It was because I ate horribly during my pregnancy. And then I kind of started, I took up those habits again, really, it was hard for me. And
it's just so easy to go back. But now, like when you were here the last time, you had not quite gotten to maintenance, and you are now. So what was that like, getting to maintenance?
Oh, it was kind of a dream come true, but I have to tell you, I did not consider myself at maintenance, because I had a goal weight, and my goal weight was the weight that I was at, that I maintained before my pregnancy, for like 7 years. And I thought, I can get there, and maybe even I can get those additional 10 pounds off, where I was wearing a size 6 for, a hot minute. And that could be my bottom of my range, and my top of my range could be, where I was in maintenance, 140 pounds, which I'm 5'3". So, that's not particularly skinny, but that was about a size 8, even a size 6 sometimes, that I could wear when I was at 140. And so I was going along, and I was about 150 pounds. And my dear friend, Colleen Facer, who is kind of guiding me through maintenance, and, she helps me so much, but she called me one day and she said, Beth, you need to switch to maintenance. You don't need to be in the weight loss mindset anymore. You look fantastic. And you have been at 150 pounds for how long? You are in maintenance, but you need to switch your mindset and, decide that you're there, that you've arrived. And I was kind of hesitant, I was like, well, this is not my goal. This is not where I plan to be. She's like, well, you look great, and you're comfortable, and we had gotten together. She was my Gideon Game team leader. And so we had gone on a retreat to Bryce Canyon with a bunch of the people in the group in the Gideon Games team. And so she'd met me for the first time, and we'd gone shopping together as part of that trip. We went clothes shopping, and somebody, I don't even remember who, but they said, you should try these jeans on in a size 8. You should just try it. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can wear a size 8, but I tried them on, and sure enough, they fit. And I was like, a size 8, that's what I was wearing when I was maintaining all those years. And so she convinced me that I should be in maintenance. And, my maintenance plan didn't look much different than what I was doing for weight loss. In fact, the only change that I made, I think I added some vegetables. I think I added like 4 ounces of vegetables at breakfast. I added some extra. Anyways, I can't even remember. When I first went into maintenance, it was very similar though to my weight loss plan. But then a week after I went into maintenance, I called in on the accountability call, and it was on a Sunday when Susan Pierce Thompson she's the person that, helps with that call. And so I called in and I raised my hand and I said, Susan, should I be in maintenance? And what should be my goal range? Cause I was like, I don't know if I really should be in maintenance. And Susan, she affirmed to me, oh yes, you are in maintenance and the food plan that you have is perfect. This is great. And your range, this is what it's going to be. And she gave me this, anyways, it was amazing because having her tell me that, yes, you are in maintenance, like my whole mindset changed. And the peace that I felt after switching, again, my food plan wasn't that much different, but my mindset was different. I'm there. I'm here. I feel amazing. And this is, and my energy levels, everything was great. And so I just needed a little bit of reassurance that, yes, you are in maintenance and this is where you can be and you're okay to stay here.
I think that's just so awesome. And I love Colleen and the fact that Susan, took the time to motivate you and, reassure you too, that you are just fine where you are. And this is the thing, we can get pigeonholed into certain numbers because of a BMI number or whatever. But how are you feeling in your clothes, How
I
are you
love it.
feeling in this body, And how are you feeling about your program? When we talked the other day, I thought it was unusual, but the more I think about it, it makes so much sense. You added more fat into your program, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Can you talk about the purpose of that, especially in light of what you went through with the gastric bypass? Because it makes so much sense to me.
Absolutely. So I was just eating the regular fat, when I started Brightline eating and when I went through boot camp and all of that, I was only losing maybe 3 or 4 pounds a month. I was a turtle loser and I was working so hard. Well, I got really frustrated and I actually, for a time, I left Brightline eating with the intention that I was coming back, but I left Brightline eating and I tried, I went and I did keto for a little while. All right. And the thing about keto is that I got a huge burst of energy that I'd never had with Brightline eating. Okay. In like the 7 months or whatever that I'd been doing it, 5 months, 7 months. And I got this major burst of energy and I felt great. And I lost weight even faster than I did with Brightline eating. It's true. But the problem with keto for me is that I was used to eating these keto versions of not my food, of all the temptations in my life, right? All the things that tempt me the most. I was eating keto versions. And then the holidays came and people were delivering the non-keto versions of all these things to my door. I had absolutely no willpower. I couldn't turn them down at Christmas, right? During the holidays. So I was like, well, I'll just eat it. That's fine. I'll just have my little last hurrah during the holidays. And in January, I'll get back on keto. And then, once I have lost a certain amount of weight, I'm going to go back to Brightline eating. I always had planned that. But, January 1st came and it never really happened, right? I couldn't get back on because I was sugar. I was, sugar and flour, they were my demons. And so finally I was able to get things under control. And I did try to get back on Brightline eating and I was pretty good for a little while. And then I would have a relapse. And then I was pretty good for a little while and I'd have a relapse. And so in January of 2020, that is when I fully resumed and absolutely committed that I'm going to do this. And when I resumed in January of 2020, that's when I doubled my fat because I knew that I needed that extra fat. So the purpose of fat is to help you to absorb vitamins and minerals. Because I had the gastric bypass, I already struggle with that. that is something that I know. I already struggled to absorb the nutrients that I need. And so getting extra fat was really paramount for me. And by doing that, not only did I get a burst of energy, but my weight loss actually doubled, and maybe it's because I'm getting these nutrients and my metabolism is working a lot better now, right? That I have all of the nourishment that I need. And,
so you
and I
had
had
not dropped any quantity of anything else, but you had added some fat. Is that
that's
right?
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And
Wow.
yeah. So I just doubled my fat. I did 2 fats at lunch and 2 fats at dinner, and everything else was kind of the same at that point. Yeah.
And you made a different change too. It sounds like, I think it was with Colleen's
Yes.
suggestion, and I have heard it from somebody else too. You
Okay.
incorporated sweet potatoes, right?
Yes, I did. I only eat sweet potatoes for breakfast. And so this was a couple of months before we went to Bryce. She reached out. So this was not the phone call about maintenance. This was before we went to Bryce. She said, I think that I can help you to get to maintenance. And maybe even in the next few months before we all meet up to go to Bryce, I think you could lose a whole bunch more. Let's do some changes to your plan. Let's try it. And so one of the changes that was really instrumental in helping me lose weight faster and also, getting to maintenance was eating sweet potato every morning for breakfast. And that makes a big difference. So,
in
my body.
What were you having before though?
Before I was having oats, or I was having cream of wheat, or every once in a while I did like the cereal, the Brightline Eating Approved cereals, the 1 ounce of that. Mostly oats, sometimes rice too, right? Just the grains. But my body doesn't really, I don't think that grains are very, very good with my body ever since I had the gastric bypass. Because after I had the surgery, I was supposed to avoid grains and things like that, breads and, all of that. Yeah, that was something that I actually was supposed to avoid. And I did for many years. Yeah. So,
well, isn't that great then? I mean, and it worked. And do you still use the sweet potato breakfast?
I do. Okay. And I went off of the sweet potato for a little while, and I just don't feel as good, I think, when I don't eat the sweet potato. I just don't feel it's not the same. And I kind of started to put on a few pounds here and there. It wasn't like huge, but I just feel better when I eat sweet potato.
Well, that's, a suggestion. It's, available in the plan. So why not try it? That could be all the difference in the world for somebody. Now, what are some of the habits that you've gained through this time? Are there any that you've still stuck with from the beginning, or new ones that you've incorporated into your lifestyle?
Well, the most important habit I feel like for me is to write down my food the day before, or even the morning of. Sometimes I fall asleep before it's true, but I write down my food. I write down my quantities. I'm pretty specific. I don't just say vegetables, protein, I say exactly what I'm going to have. And I commit my food every night to Colleen, and a couple of other people that are from the Gideon Games team that we were on. And if I change it, generally I'm pretty good about letting her know, my blueberries were gone, or, whatever, or something, I made this change for X reason, and I let her know. And I feel that accountability really makes a difference.
Yes. And you have a very cohesive group. I mean, if you're going vacationing together, that's pretty amazing. Did you know each other before the Bryce Canyon?
Only via Marco Polo. We had never met in person.
Okay. So you went through boot camp, and you went through the whole membership thing, right? And
I did.
So, because when you're saying the coaching call for someone who's new, that is available by going to brightlineeating.com, and you can sign up for, your all access and get into the boot camp and all that. That's one way to do PLE. Another way,
they're doing the 30 days free. You know about that, right?
Yes, it just was announced. So
there's a coupon for 30 days to try the all access for free. and you do have to put your credit card number in, is my understanding. I mean, it's kind of like, these different promotions. Put your credit card number in and you get 30 days free. You can cancel anytime.
Well, that's something
it
to
is
look at
amazing.
for anybody who's interested, brightlineeating.com. I want to ask more about this community because you are just amazing, Beth, with community. Some of these groups that you have begun, let's talk about that. I mentioned the other, it's a private group, right? The Brightest Eaters.
Yes. So back when I did boot camp, that was kind of the only community that existed at that point for Brightline Eating. You had to join boot camp. There were no Facebook pages that I was aware of back in those days. That was back in 2017. And as soon as I finished boot camp, I was like, I mean, I kind of like the people in my boot camp and stuff, but I didn't find the community that I was really seeking. And so I decided, with the encouragement from Shauna Murph, who I found through a mutual friend, a mutual Brightline, a Brightline eater. And we were in a mastermind group together. That was my first mastermind group. And I said, I just wish there was like a group, maybe even a group for members of the church, because we were all members of the church. And that would be so great to find more people and to just have that community. And Shauna was like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's do that. If you'll set up the group, I will help you. And she has been amazing. So, she kind of gave me the encouragement that I needed. And I started this group, and there's currently over 2,200 members of this group. And, of course, not everybody's active, but it's a very active group and a very amazing group. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
That's fantastic. Another group that you have a competition that you do.
Yeah.
And that's like an on-cycle thing. It's not just like once in a while. It's almost like one
constant. It's always going. I have enough people that are regulars that say, please don't even skip a day. So the way that the challenge works, and I started this back on January 1st of 2020. That was when I started it. And that's really what has just sealed the deal for my commitment, right? I mean, because here's how it works. You put $50 in, and you put $50 in the pot, and then you have to keep your 4 lines bright, all 4 lines, no sugar, no flour, weigh and measure your meals. Now you can eyeball it if you're at a restaurant or if you're out of town or something like that. But if you're home, the idea is that you are going to weigh and measure, right? You're not going to eyeball when you're home and you have your scale, but in extreme situations, you can eyeball it. And then the 4th one is 3 meals a day or no snacking. Because some people are doing 2 meals a day, intermittent fasting, right? Or some people are doing 5 meals a day if they've done gastric bypass or whatever. Yeah. So whatever your meals are, that's fine. You can make those modifications, but you're going to follow the 4 bright lines. And every weekend on Friday night, there is a poll that's posted in this group, and you have to check in and you have to confirm before Sunday night that you were either bright with all 4 lines all week long, or you were not bright and you lost. Basically, if you're not bright, you're going to lose your $50. You're saying, I don't get my $50 back. If you are bright for the full 8 weeks of the challenge, then you are going to get your $50 back, but you're also going to be able to split the pot of what's remaining from anybody who broke their lines. And the thing that I love about the group, though, is we're in it for everybody. It's like, everybody is so supportive, and I hope that I just get $50 back this time. I want everybody to succeed, right? It's not really about, cashing in on people's failure. That's definitely not it. But you do get a little bit, I think last time we got like $74 back if we were bright the whole time, right? So instead of $50, we got $74. But the motto that it's not worth $50. This bite of NMF or this, snacking, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. So see, again,
$50 a sister who's done it.
It's another way to approach it. If you're a person who loves the competition, that's another way to do it, and it's like, there's not one set way for everybody, but I put on the slideshow your email address. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, that's
Yes.
where to get a hold of you is, but why don't you say it
Yeah,
out
please
loud?
email me. You can also,
What is the email
yeah, my email
address?
address it's Bethilda1@gmail.com. That's spelled BETH like my name, ILD like David, A, and the number 1 @gmail.com. And you can feel free to reach out that way. You can also reach out to me via Facebook Messenger, Beth Wilson Monroe. And you can
Okay.
find me under Noreen's account if you're friends with Noreen or if you see her.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit too about another group that you have, and that's the air fryer and Instapot group.
yeah.
And you're known for like your meal prep. But what came first, learning about this equipment or the meal prep stuff?
Learning about the equipment definitely came first. I bought my first Instant Pot back in November of 2017. So it was pretty new. Instant Pot was pretty new back then. I don't know when it was released exactly, but it was 2017. And I love the Instant Pot. You know, I do so many things in there, and I have 2 Instant Pots now. I probably could use 3, honestly, because of how much I use it with my batch cooking. But I also have an air fryer. I added that. Oh, it's been about a year and a half ago. I think it was Christmas of 2021, I want to say, or 2020. Must have been Christmas of 2020. So I have an air fryer, and I still don't know as much about the air fryer. I use it, but I'm sure I underutilize it. But I decided to start a group because I wanted to share ideas, recipes that are bright recipes, right? Following Brightline eating, using Instant Pot, and then later I added air fryer to that. And it's a great group, and there's a lot of people in the group. However, I will confess that I haven't been as actively involved. I haven't been as, it's just kind of there, and I go in and I check it, and I try to post every once in a while, but I get pretty busy and pulled with all the other groups and things that I'm busy with right now. So
what is the name of the Instapot group?
it is brightest Instant Pot and air fryer.
And so that is another, and is it mostly Brightline friendly?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to be all Brightline eating friendly.
Okay.
And every once in a while, I'll have somebody that like a spammer or something that posts a not my food recipe, and I hurry and go in and delete it. And then I of course kick them out of the group, but I'm not.
I want to go back to the sweet potato for a second, because I have Karen who says she noticed a drop too when incorporating sweet potato.
Very
And
nice.
another person asked, how do you eat the sweet potato if you're having it all the time?
Yeah.
What are you?
So I eat the same thing for breakfast, you guys, 7 days a week generally. Okay. And
Wow,
I
must
love
be
it.
good.
I love it. Not everybody loves it. I've shared it with my sister before, and she loved it for the first 3 days. And then she's like, oh, I'm so sick of this. I don't want to eat it anymore. So not everybody loves it as much as I do, but Wendy Laterza, are you here? I don't know if Wendy's here, but she's somebody that has started eating it and she loves it. So anyways, okay, what I do is I take 4 ounces of cooked and mashed, but these days I don't mash it super finely. Like it's kind of a chunky mash. Okay. So, or anything, but I take 4 ounces of sweet potato with the skin on. I include the skin when I kind of mash it. Right. And because there's lots of nutrients in the skin. And then I mix that with 6 ounces of cooked vegetables of my choice, whatever I like. Okay. It could be onions and cauliflower and zucchini and, whatever, mushrooms. I love mushrooms, spinach, 6 ounces of vegetables. And then I do 2 eggs. And I used to do 1 egg and 2 ounces of cheese and 1 ounce of cheese, 1 egg and 1 ounce of cheese. But I do not eat cheese anymore. I try to. I mean, that's, I'm not perfect. But I don't eat cheese generally. And so I do 2 eggs instead of half of a protein with cheese, right? I do 2 eggs and I stir that all together, raw eggs, and I microwave it for about, if it's thawed, if it's, just fresh that way, then I'll do it for about 3 or 4 minutes in the microwave, stir it all up. And it's kind of like scrambled egg, the eggs cooked fully texture. And then I top that with 2 ounces of free salsa, free like picante sauce or whatever you like. So that's my sweet potato souffle is what I call it. And what was I going to say? Something else.
So
if it's frozen. So I make those in batches, and I cook my sweet potatoes in the Instant Pot. I put them in the Instant Pot with about a cup of water. You don't have to poke holes or do anything with them. You just throw them in there. And then I cook them for 30 minutes, which is probably longer than you have to, but I just cook them for a long time. And then I take them out and I just kind of mash them lightly, right? And then make a big batch. And if I put it in the freezer, which I do put it in the freezer, I try to always keep about 30 days worth of meals in the freezer at all times. And I'll just put it in the freezer, and it's raw egg, and the vegetables and the sweet potato. And then I pull it out of the freezer and I put it in the microwave and I cook it for about 2 minutes until I can get the lid off. 2 minutes is what it takes to thaw, so that the lid's not stuck on there. And then I put it back in for about 5 minutes. And then I top it with the salsa after it's fully cooked. So that's what I do every morning for breakfast. And then now I'm eating both fruits and vegetables with my maintenance plan. So I still get a fruit on the side. Yeah.
So that's the first fruit that you added.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
I'm just doing, so what I'm doing with my maintenance right now is I just eat a regular breakfast plus 6 ounces of vegetables, right? Vegetables is really my add.
Okay.
And then for lunch, I'm now eating my fruit also, which I wasn't, for a while.
So when you had this mindset shift, I'm just curious about this some more, because so much of this, I think, is psychological. I mean, you're literally saying that in 1 minute, you're not sure you're ready. The next minute, you totally switched your mind to be like, I'm here. I've arrived.
Oh, it was so freeing. It was amazing. It was just amazing because,
that's all you needed was that power shift in your mind. So has that thinking now made this whole deal sustainable for you? Just really curious about this mindset shift, because I will tell you, speaking from my own experience, I have gotten backed up to a certain number, and I literally have to talk to myself like, it's okay. We're just going to take this as far as we can take it, Noreen. Like I'm literally telling myself that, like as if I have to give myself permission to, like when I broke through to Wonderland, I was stalled there for weeks. And I actually used sweet potato. I changed my breakfast.
Yeah.
I took the fruit out. I added sweet potato and I had vegetables. And come to think about it, I'm just remembering this, that for a whole week I did that and I broke through that plateau. So
it works. It really does. And it's both.
They actually also did use sweet potato, and 2 weeks ago they went through that stall too. So there's something to this. But but back to the mindset thing. Have you been able to now just see this as sustainable?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I feel so great, and the food that I eat, I love it. I actually, you and I are in the same recipe group, and there's a great recipe group, but I have really just simplified my food for the last couple of months. It's been, I don't know how many months since I've made an actual recipe. I eat very simply now. I don't eat the cheese and I don't eat I'm avoiding, I don't do nuts and nut butters generally at all. I'm just eating very much whole foods, and, my mindset
was getting rid of nuts and nut butter part of the whole maintenance thing too, to get there faster.
No, I was already at maintenance when I decided that I need to simplify my food. I need to simplify my food.
Okay.
And I didn't eat a lot of nuts and nut butter, honestly, when I was in weight loss mode. But I did make recipes that called for nut butter, maybe once a week or so. It wasn't like an everyday thing, but I just don't think that serves me very well right now. Right now, I'm not saying that I'll never go back to eating those recipes. I have amazing recipe books that have some really good things in them. But for right now, I'm just keeping it simple. And I'm actually finding that I really love it. I love simple food. I don't need all the sexy food, right? I don't need that right now.
And what do
I'm doing
you,
okay without it.
since you're really big on meal prep, what are you prepping then? Besides your sweet potato dish?
So I am eating about 4 meals right now, 4 or 5 meals that I'm rotating. I do my sweet potato souffle. Okay. That's easy. I told you the recipe for that. And all these recipes I will post for you in your group. I'll do that within the next week. Yeah. I'll give you like a link, just here's all my recipes, and I'll just put it in one post.
Fantastic.
But I do the sweet potato souffle every day for breakfast. And then for lunch, it's a couple of options. Well, lunch and dinner. So I do the exact same meal plan for lunch and dinner, except I just add fruit to lunch, right? Which some of you do, right? So I do 10 ounces of vegetables at lunch, 10 ounces at dinner, and my protein and my fat, and then just add a fruit at lunchtime. So I either do, my favorite meal right now that I have just been loving so much is cauliflower rice stir fry. Cauliflower rice, it's basically, I just throw a whole bunch of frozen cauliflower rice in a frying pan. I use a little bit of spray oil, which is fine. I don't count that towards my fat. And then I do frozen vegetables. I'll usually do broccoli or green beans, or I always do onion, and it'll be fresh onion. Sometimes it's frozen onion too, like I buy the bag of pre-diced. I'll do zucchini or what do you call it? Asparagus. I do that quite a bit. Sugar snap peas, whatever vegetables I have. Sometimes they're fresh and sometimes they're frozen. All right. And I do like I'll do like 6 bags of frozen cauliflower in my huge in my huge skillet.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I find that these 12-ounce bags, though, once they're cooked down, even with the vegetables and things like that, it makes about 1 serving of 10 ounces is what it ends up being. Okay. So I've got to do I do like 6, and maybe depending on what vegetables I add to it, I'll get about 8 servings. Okay. I'll get a total of 8. Okay. And so I've got all of my cauliflower rice with whatever vegetables, and I'll even chop it up. I have like a little chop and stir, I think it's called, by Pampered Chef. That it's like a little, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'll chop it all up so it's kind of the same size, all of it. And then I put it in my bowl, and then I put 4 ounces of protein or 6 ounces of beans, depending on, like my 4 ounces of meat. If I'm doing meat, I'm not a whole food plant-based person, but I do like beans sometimes too. So I'll put my protein serving in there whole and pre-cooked. So if I'm doing like chicken or whatever, it's already cooked. And then I just put my lid on it. And I've got these great freezer containers that I'll link in my post, that you can get on Amazon. They go right into the freezer, and then they come from the freezer. I put it in the microwave and I cook it for, it's about 5 to 7 minutes from the freezer to the microwave for the cauliflower rice. And then I add my sour cream, which is like the only fat that I've been using for like the last couple of months, because I love sour cream. I love it. And I do a double. I do 2 ounces of sour cream, right? Because I'm still doing I'm currently doing triple fat. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I'm doing triple fat. I'm doing 6 servings of fat every day. So I do 2 at breakfast, 2 at lunch, and 2 at dinner. And it's always sour cream. I eat 2 ounces of sour cream on my sweet potato souffle, 2 ounces of sour cream with my lunch. If it happens to be cauliflower rice, there you go. The other thing that I eat for lunch quite a bit is just vegetable soup. And I just cook a whole bunch of vegetables in my Instant Pot, whatever I've got. And then I use a knife to run it through. So, I'll put like a whole head of cabbage in there. I won't even chop it or do anything. And I'll put some zucchinis in there, and I'll only chop off the stem that's not eatable. And I'll put sugar snap peas, and I'll put onions with the skin off it, but not necessarily chopped up at all. I'll put all these vegetables in. I'll just fill it full, put a cup of water, cook it. And then I drain the water out, and I use my knife to just chop it, just run it through, like in little crisscrosses. And it's kind of chunky, and that's fine. And then I do 12 ounces of vegetables because there's a lot of water in there. There's excess water. So even though I've got a 10-ounce vegetable serving, I do 12 when it's the vegetables like that. And then I put my meat or my beans, whatever I want for my protein. And then I put the lid on it, and I put it in the freezer, right? Same thing. And then I know whatever I take out of the freezer, I'm just going to add 2 ounces of sour cream to it. And that's what I do with soup too. I learned to eat sour cream in my soup when I was serving as a missionary in Russia years ago. They put sour cream in their soup, in borscht and all those things. They always put sour cream. It is my favorite. Wow. It is delicious. So you heat your soup up first. And then when you pull it out, you stir in your sour cream, and it is delicious. My favorite. So
it really doesn't seem like you're suffering too much.
No, I love it. I love it. And I'm in Arizona, I moved here from Utah. And so it gets really hot in the summer. So this is what I do with my soup. I make it ahead of time. And then I just, I heat it up and everything. And I stir my sour cream in while it's hot. And then I put it in the fridge, and I eat my soup cold.
Oh.
And sometimes I add 2 ounces of chicken broth to it, at the time that I heat it up. And sometimes there's just enough water in it that I don't care. It's more like a stew, it's kind of, it's not super watered down, but I like that too. And I'll put my sour cream in, and it's delicious.
It just makes like a really big, very robust serving.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time here, Beth, and I just have a couple more questions that I want to ask.
Okay.
One is, through all this journey that you've had, and you've been through a lot. You've been through this surgery, postpartum depression, then going at this struggle of gaining weight back, all these kinds of things. And then finally finding the answer of how you can get back to a maintenance level and just have, you're in maintenance, you've arrived. Through all of this, what would you say are your greatest non-scale victories?
Oh,
that are beyond losing the weight? What has come along with that?
The non-scale victories aren't even to do with my body. The non-scale victories are the friendships and the connections that I've developed through this. That's the biggest non-scale victory. I have this whole support network that is just incredible. And I can't even believe it. My whole life has changed because of it. I absolutely love the gospel that I'm a part of. My religion is very important to me, and my family is very important to me. And number 3 is the friends and the connections and Brightline eating, just the lifestyle that I have through that. Those are the things that are important to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Who knew this could all come together? And what you were weak at is now it's brought so much joy around you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We're doing this conference, and I know you had a slide about it. We're doing this conference. So this was actually my idea, right? I had this idea that we should get a whole bunch of Brightline eaters together and have workshops, and the university, the Brigham Young University, they do this amazing, it's called Education Week every year, and they also do women's conferences and Time Out for Women. And they do all these different things, and they have these breakout sessions, and they're just amazing, and, different topics that you can choose from. And so I had this dream that, we're going to do this with Brightline eating. We're going to do it with Brightline eating. It's not going to be religious. It's just going to be all about the different things in Brightline eating. And so we had our first conference last year. Oh, it was so amazing. We had about 100 people there. And so we're doing this every year now. It's a new thing. This is our second one that's coming up June 4th. And we've got 12 different breakout sessions with all different topics that you can choose from. And this year we are offering the virtual registration. So you can get it all on a Zoom link, and you can join us live. And then after the conference is over, we've hired professional audiovisual guys to record it all. And you're going to get all the recordings for all of the breakout sessions for the main speech, the keynote address, and the question and answer discussion panel with all the experts. It's going to be incredible, So this is going on, and it's so fun.
Well,
so
we'll
fun.
have the link. The link, I think, is maybe on the slideshow, but if you go to Starting Out Bright, I know that I'll have it on the page. So,
and Shauna, if you're listening, maybe you could put that link up in the chat, the link to register and to find out more about that. So it's just going to be amazing.
We'll definitely get on that. That sounds fantastic. And I expect to be joining you virtually. So it'll be fun.
Yay.
So, Beth, based on everything that you've gone through, if somebody was here tonight, or maybe they're going to listen to this by podcast or YouTube, and thanks for letting me record this, what would you say to them, especially someone maybe who has gone through what you have to some degree, with a gastric bypass, or, maybe just a surgery that has, made it difficult? What would you say to them?
Oh, I would say reach out and find a buddy, find a friend, find a community. And, if you need help, find somebody here. You can reach out to me, and, I can help you get connected with somebody, with a community. But find someone to help you on this journey. Find someone to give you that support. That is the most important thing.
I would really have to just say exactly what she said, because for me personally, those other programs that I was on, and there were many of them over the course of 30 years, I felt so alone. I felt like I was in my own little world trying to lose weight, trying to do this thing over and over and over again. I had no idea that it could open up your life to new friendships, people who are very talented at putting different food ideas together, recipes. I mean, you don't have to know everything, but when you reach out, get a buddy or just get in a group and start, listening and maybe sharing a little bit yourself, it just makes all the difference in the world. And get a Colleen in your life too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's really distinctive about the Brightline eating community is that there's really not like Brightline eating police, that you can adapt the program if you need to. Nobody's going to get mad at you. Nobody's going to, like other communities that I've been a part of, if you even mention something, or if you even asked a question that wasn't, oh, that's a dumb question. You just felt like people beat up on you when you had questions, but not in our communities here. It is just amazing, right? The support and the love and the giving that is out there. It's just there for you.
Well, and even saying, like when you make it your program, I remember reading in Susan's book, and I don't know where it was, but I remember reading that if you're going to change something, and I'm not talking about adding sugar or flour, but if you're going to change something like adding a fat, then make it a permanent change. Like this is just part of your program. Now, I did that. I have cream in my coffee, and I have more than one cup, and I don't beat myself up about it. It's my program. Right. I had given up coffee for like 5 years, and when I brought it back, I'm like, nope, I'm not giving it up. I'm having my coffee. I'm having cream in it, no sugar. And I am like perfectly content with knowing it might take me a little bit longer, but this is my program. It's my life.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself doing anything wrong about it. It's just the way that I've added that one piece. It's like I do 8 ounces of vegetables for lunch and 12 ounces for dinner. I tried 6 and 14, wasn't quite right. Then I went 10 to 10, and that wasn't quite right for me. And I finally went 8. What did I say? I go 8 and 12. And it's like, it's 20 ounces. It works perfectly for me. And so that is just making it work for me.
So I just made two really big changes to my food this week.
What?
And I of course, I counseled with Kelly about it first, right? The
Mhm.
first thing that I'm doing is for lunch, I have started eating 10 ounces of raw vegetables, which
Oh,
is a huge change for me because in the past, raw vegetables have made me really sick because of the gastric bypass. You know, some people have foods that they struggle with, and raw vegetables, oh my goodness, salads and things like that. I've had to go with cooked vegetables, but I'm doing 10 ounces of raw vegetables and I'm chewing really well. And you know what? I am doing amazing. I am actually really liking it. I started
wow.
that on Monday. On Monday, I started it. The other change that I started just today is that I'm doing only half of a protein at lunch, and I'm doing half of a protein using a protein powder that has absolutely nothing added to it, right? It's a pea protein is what it is. And
Okay.
so I did that today for the first time. And it's more protein, but the same amount of calories. So I'm just going to see how that affects me, you know?
And it's like systematized. It's like within the
Yeah,
boundaries. This is
I,
what
I will do
this
it for
is what
two
I'm getting
weeks.
at too. Is like I'm not talking about doing willy-nilly whatever you want. I'm talking about in the
Sure.
program. It's like that is part of your protein and you're figuring it out for yourself. Well,
Yeah.
listen,
While I was doing weight loss, Kelly suggested that I increase my veggies. And I was at one point, I was getting 10, 20, 28 ounces of vegetables instead of just 20, right?
wow.
And when I increased my vegetables, I was actually getting more than what was called for. It helped me with my weight loss too. It really did. So,
Wow.
there are things you can do, tweaks you can make. Anyways, that's
Well, anyway, we're going to close for now. And I just thank you again, Beth, for coming back. And I wish you continued success. Thank you for everything you do for this big, beautiful community by the groups you've begun and maintain. And, just all of your great, your great, just the food and everything that you're going to be making and giving me recipes and share on the starting.
yeah, I will share those. I will share those. And there's more recipes that I didn't talk about, but they're simple
Wonderful.
food. Nothing too crazy. So
Fantastic. It's so great. So I'm going to close as I do each week. Good night. Stay bright. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody. So, Beth, how would you like to play 3 Question Thursday?
I would love to play 3 Question Thursday.
All right. With all of this, do you have a favorite mantra?
My favorite mantra is probably currently it's easier to do 100% than 99%.
Ooh, I would have to agree with that. But when you say that, now this will be question 2. When you say that, are you referring to one of the lines? Like, what is your favorite or your hardest line to follow when you say being 100%?
Yeah, 100% with your lines. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Is there one that is the most difficult for you?
The most difficult would probably be like eating outside of meal times and especially eating something like, potatoes. Let's say I'm making a potato something for my family for dinner. And I just want to like try some, it's a
Right.
Brightline eating approved food, but I'm not supposed to eat it. And I don't usually eat potatoes. I know I eat sweet potatoes, but not regular potatoes. And so that would probably be my test, Brightline eating approved food. But it's interesting, as soon as I break one of the lines, I don't know if anybody's like this, but as soon as I break one line, the others soon follow, it seems like. I never can keep it to just that one line and one bite of potato, right? Something else. Oh, well, I already broke one of my lines. I already lost my $50 in the challenge, right?
What
So
the
I might
heck?
as well break the other lines and enjoy it while I can, until tomorrow. So
Yes, I have to agree. It's such a mind game, isn't it?
yeah.
Because once you fall off, that's, but then again, if you do have that shift of Okay, let's get back on track. You just said something about fixing for your family.
Yeah.
How does this play into your busy family? Because now this child has grown up, the one that
Yeah.
came in earlier. How do you keep your eyes on your own plate when you are fixing food that's maybe not the food you're eating?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm eating, I pull my food from my freezer, right? That's what I'm eating for dinner just about every night. On Sundays, we always have steak. My husband grills steak every Sunday, usually. So I will eat the steak, but what I'll do is I'll usually have like some cooked vegetables or something like that on the side. And then they have like a salad that has other stuff in it that, I don't really, um, and they'll do baked potatoes, a lot of times, or sometimes I will even make potatoes for them, fried in oil and different things and, not healthy. Um, but it doesn't really bother me because I love what I'm eating and I love the steak, okay, I can have steak, on Sundays. And it's just, it doesn't bother me anymore because I'm so happy with what I'm eating. You just kind of get in that habit, in that mindset.
It
So,
sounds like you have kind of gone full circle because you have been pretty vocal in the groups as far as being generous with your recipes and everything. So you've already been there and you can go back to the recipes, and
yeah,
if at
absolutely.
some point, like these 5 or 6 recipes, like, I think I'm ready to go back to this for a while. It's still bright.
Right.
It's tasty. You've got the cookbook if you want it.
Yeah, and I've created some recipes.
Yes.
I've got recipes for faux, not my foods, that I made up myself, and they're great, and I love them, but I don't make them right now. I'm just keeping it simple.
And you're not deprived, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's that's what really makes all the difference, I think. Um, Again, thank you for being on the program. Thank you for your generous story. And I know that you've touched some people here who have specific needs that, as they're approaching this lifestyle, it's like really important to understand that not everybody has a one size fits all program. And it's really great to know that, hey, I can do this too, because, Beth can do it, so I can too. So thank you, Beth, and thank you everyone for being here. And I'm going to close again. Good night. Stay bright, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.